feast, adding more depth to our banquet. Before as I was preparing today's presentation, introductions, I went back to last year's feedback from delegates, and I was reading feedback for Kate, and more than one person wrote the word scary.
Was that about the presentation or about Kate?
Maybe that's you. But the interesting thing is, what Kate comes and brings to our meetings every year is something that's different, new, and scary. And I sense that today is going to be no exception. So continue with my gastronomic theme, I think this is the unknown meal that's going to either make life a little bit more spicy or I don't know.
Yes, I feel like this has started to become a bit of a theme of mine after last year and the year before. And continue with the theme of MasterChef. It's great to be back in a room with like-minded people. I do sometimes feel that a lot of members of the profession aren't as enthusiastic as I possibly am. And also people who are enthusiastic about MasterChef and people who may well know the phrase OT fish biscuit, which is one of the funniest things I heard from MasterChef this year. But anyway, back to therapy. Yes, I'd like to welcome my co-presenter, Jack Barton, who's over there. Jack and I, it's the first time we've met today. We were actually introduced to each other on Twitter. My colleague Deanna saw a random tweet about a presentation that he'd been to, and she retweeted it to me, and we got talking, and Jack and I started a conversation via email. But I think it's great that just from seeing one tweet out there, it just shows how the profession can work and develop, and certainly this was all new stuff to me. I wasn't able to go to the original lecture by Professor Lev and his colleagues, although Jack did. And so I'm very grateful to the conversations I've had via email with Professor Lev as well about this, because this is the sort of stuff that it just sets me on fire. It absolutely does. And I was also pleasantly surprised to find that the field of psychiatry was actually looking into avatar therapy. And those who know my work know that I first wrote about avatar therapy back in 2001, 2002. And so it's sort of taken 10 years for this to become something that people don't necessarily run screaming for the hills on. And so that's very reassuring. But yes, I am very grateful that the psychiatric world is looking into this as well. What I'd like to do is I'll do the presentation and tell you a bit about Professor Lev's work. And then I'd really like to open it up into questions about how it can apply to your work and how you might see that fitting into your theoretical elements of the way you work. Because I've done a lot of thinking since I first came across this research study about how it applies to not only my theories about the use of technology in mental health, but also how it applies to psychodynamic thinking, how it applies to person-centered thinking, and even a bit about how it can possibly work from a cognitive behavioural point of view in using virtual reality and avatars to help the client. So, your databases are obsolete. What is the extent of the problem? Currently, about 25% of people with schizophrenia continue to experience hallucinations and delusions despite the treatment with antipsychotics